much for having Ag for Life visit the farm today. We are thrilled to be on our summer farm road trip, and a beautiful day to come out and take over your farm, if you will. We've had the chance to go out and see the fields and to check the cattle and to have a visit and the horses and look at the chickens and the roosters and just learn more about what you guys are doing here in Alberta and the role that you play within Alberta agriculture. Derek, this was your family's homestead. And so tell us a little bit about the start. This is great-grandpa, great-great-grandpa?
This actually goes back. My great-grandfather came and pioneered at the Mayton district, which is about half an hour east of here. And then they sold there and they went to Hannah.
Okay.
And he had two brothers who were in this district. And they used to buy stuff at they put up a ranch and a store at Hannah. And unfortunately, he was killed in a buckboard accident, went to the hospital, Spanish flu epidemic.
Oh, no.
So he passed away, family moved into Calgary, but these Benedicts here owed money at the store.
Okay.
So they gave him 6 quarters of land as debt against the money at the store. And so when my grandfather was, about 16, they moved out here and started farming. So at 17, he started, the grandmother had remarried, came out here, got started. Grandmother decided new husband wasn't for her, so she sent him on his way, signed an agreement, said all he got was a horse, a saddle, and a 30-30.
Perfect.
So he disappeared from the scene. My grandfather and his 2 brothers, with their mother, started farming in 26.
Okay.
So then we'd been here ever since.
Wow.
They had 2 granaries pulled over across the road that they lived in, and then when my grandfather got married, he built the first 2 rooms of the house, and we've been adding on ever since.
Yeah.
We added on this 20 years ago, 21 years ago.
So it sounds like a Western. It's awesome, right? Yeah, still a Western. So now today, Benedict beef. You've got obviously your beautiful wife and children. So tell us a little bit about how the farm has continued and you took over and fill in some of the time gaps for us.
Well, we've always, I grew up here and we were always a mixed farm. Mm-hmm. My dad and my granddad both had cattle, mm-hmm. and we were had these cattle on feed when BSE hit.
Yes.
And so now, what do we do with these cattle that are overnight or no markets?
Yeah.
So when cattle get to finish, they got to go. Mm-hmm. But we had friends would phone us and say, "What can we do to help you guys?" Everyone knew, everyone knows Alberta cattle producers were in tough times.
Yeah.
Because the price at the store hadn't changed. Because retail prices didn't, but the price we were getting paid did.
Right.
So our friend said, "Well, what can we do to help?" And we said, "Well, how would you like a half a beef?"
Yeah.
So that's how we started selling beef.
Okay.
And then the next year, they phoned back. That was the best thing we ever ate. Can we buy more? So we started finishing every year. And that's ever since, 2003, we've been finishing cattle for finish.
And so you've probably built up quite a loyal
we
customer
have.
base.
It started out, as a group of friends. My brother was in the oil industry in Calgary, and they had his hockey team had a summer golf tournament. And so he took a cooler full of steaks.
Uh-huh.
They went out to Invermere for the weekend. One of the guys was a chef.
Oh.
And had a cooler full of Benedict beef. We got a phone call the Monday morning. We had 9 new customers.
I was going to say, yeah,
so,
absolutely.
And of those, that was the first year. And of those 9, I think we still have every one of them.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then when they would invite the neighbors over, "Where'd you get this?" So then the neighbors would phone.
And they never share their steak. They always most of the customers will share their hamburger because they're keeping the steak for themselves.
Right.
So most of our customers have tasted our hamburger before they've tasted anything. Like they haven't had a steak, and because they hide the steaks in the bottom of the freezer and use them for special occasions. So
To really enjoy.
yeah.
So then we end up with the friends of the friends of the friends who are buying beef from us. We were marketing through Balzac Meats, and I was sitting in the back room having a coffee. I just delivered some calves down, and this guy knocks on the door, and he says, "Oh, I was just picking up my beef. They told me you were in here.
Yeah.
I've been buying you beef for 10 years. I just wanted to meet you."
Oh, neat.
A lot of our customers we've talked to on the phone, we've never met.
That is fabulous.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, but you guys are very active in the community and very active, in the agriculture community, having us and welcoming the Ag for Life team into your home today and having a look. Education is important to you.
Oh, absolutely.
And connecting consumers and just being very transparent about your operation. Has that always been a part of your operations, or is that something you're seeing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, for our generation, yes. And even your generation would have people out there, your mom and dad's generation would have people come to visit, from the city, relatives and their friends and stuff, and, farm tours and what I mean, walk around the farm, what are we doing, our daily activities and stuff. But for Derek and I, we really think that it's important that people, that they know that we are people feeding our family too, and we want to show you what we do and that, what we do on the farm, and that, it's healthy, and we try to create healthy food, whether it be beef or canola or barley or wheat or whatever. We just want to show that this is what happens. And we're very we're like a lot of our neighbors, and we all are trying to produce good food for our communities and I guess the world too, because canola goes to other places.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, and that's part of the message and the magic that we, as on this road trip we're doing over the summer, is we get to meet with some great families, and that's one thing is the passion and the dedication that you have, and all of our ag family has, that we really want to share with other Albertans, because we had the pleasure of being out with your herd today, and the cattle are, they're inquisitive, they're happy, they're healthy.
Come on, cows. Cows are coming.
They're coming over, and it puts a smile on your face. Yeah. So the love of farming runs right through the family, and having the opportunity for them to grow up in rural Alberta, I bet they're probably pretty proud of that. So
Yeah.
Absolutely. So. And so what have you noticed through the years? You've been doing this for a long time. From a consumer perspective, have you noticed a change in the typical customer, if you will?
For our beef industry?
Yeah.
When we first initially started, a lot of those customers had come from the farm at some point, or they were the grandchild or the nephew of someone had come from the farm, and they actually had, a lot of them had contact with doing cutting instructions and things like that. Mm-hmm. They had, but now a lot of our new customers have never eaten like a whole beef before, and it just takes 5 minutes to walk them through the instructions and ask them what they like and what they don't like, but they're totally new to it.
Yeah.
Eager, but new.
Well, and even we've had new customers come for a tour, and they've never been on a farm.
Yeah.
They're consumers, they're important to us, but they have no connection to, they've never been back to visit Grandpa's farm, because they're 4 generations away.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the cattle, and Lois, you were mentioning the mix. So you've got some Angus.
Mostly Anjou basis to our cattle.
Okay.
And then It's a commercial herd, so it
Okay.
has a little bit of everything in it.
Okay.
But a lot of Angus influence.
Okay.
And a few Shorthorns because I kind of like the color.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's easier to find them in the dark. I tell Derek that all
There
the
you
time.
go. Right.
Yeah.
And I did take note of the
Yeah.
pretty one out in the field. Yeah, absolutely. And have you noticed quality of beef that's sort of pretty consistent for you, or have you played
well,
around with it over the years?
Well, yeah, that goes into your breeding program,
Right.
and we've used the Meanjou as a foundation since before we got into this freezer beef business. But as a consumer, everybody wants lean hamburger and a marbled steak.
Can you do that for
now
us?
you got to put that on the same animal. So that's where the Meanjou fit in. Is they're a big frame, a long muscle animal, and yet when you cross it back with the Angus, you get some marbling.
Perfect.
So that's part of it. Part of doing what we do, raising them from birth to finish, is you see the end result of your breeding program.
Right, and that's really interesting too, and I think a lot of people find that fascinating because it is very strategic. Your decisions, the bulls and everything's very strategic, and it makes a fabulous product. That obviously, from our conversation, and I have had your beef, and yes, it's fantastic. And your customers are coming back in the word of mouth, which is telling you that things are going, in the right direction.
Well, and there's a lot of big feedlots and producers that are doing the same thing on a grand scale.
Yeah.
But it's hard to have that connect back to the consumer when you're feeding 6,000 heads.
Absolutely, and that's I think what is nice about your operation is you do have that opportunity to connect and have your customer come out and tour the farm, which not everybody can do, and we understand and appreciate that. So again, we thank you for taking the time to help to tell the story. Yeah. You were also mentioning, Derek, a little bit about your grazing system, and do you want to chat a little bit about that?
Well, we use a rotational grazing system on all our pastures, and that allows us to better utilize the land and get the most productivity out of it. And then the cattle, as they move through, they're always on good feed, and so that goes a long ways to getting that good marbling in the calves, because the marbling starts from the babies and all the way through the production system.
Yeah, so right from the start. And so then in the winter, what does it look like? What does feeding look like in the winter?
Well, for our feedlot, we use hay and barley to finish them,
Okay.
and that gives you the nice white fat and
Yeah, that's what we're looking
heavy
for. That's what we
marbling.
love. Yeah. And so a typical day, wake up in the morning and what does the day look like on the farm?
What's the
Yeah, is there a typical day?
Well, what's
so
the season?
okay.
And there is no
Yeah,
typical
so
day.
it's a typical day in summer.
Well, right now I'm in the middle of haying season. We just finished putting our crops in, so we seeding, spraying, haying, harvest,
Yeah.
and then feeding cattle in the winter,
Yeah.
hauling grain, and
So it
So-
doesn't.
One-
Yeah.
one to the next.
one thing to the next.
Well,
It just
I
seems to
thought
go.
farmers went to Palm Springs all winter.
Yeah, I haven't figured out that program yet. I'd like to figure it out myself.
When you got livestock, you always got something to do.
Yeah, absolutely. So you learn to love it, and not every day you love it. It's like any job. There's some days you shake your head and wonder.
Yeah.
So this year we're in the summer, and drought conditions in Alberta and in a lot of western areas. How are you guys? How are the fields looking?
Well, we're fortunate we've been catching enough rain that we're still green. We're still hanging on. We just need one more rain to fill and finish, but the drought keeps coming closer every day, and
Yeah. So we're doing the rain dance.
yeah,
Absolutely.
our hay, of course, production was down, so we're fortunate we'll be able to cut some cash crops down to make feed and avoid having to buy too much. But
It's really stressful because the last thing you want to do is to have a hungry cow.
Yeah.
People that have dogs, you would never think of not feeding your dog or your cat that day. Well, it's
Yeah.
the same with us, with farmers, and you lots of times spend lots of nights awake going, okay, where am I going to get feed, and how am I going to, if you haven't produced enough yourself,
Yes.
or how are we going to keep their nutrition up?
Yeah.
The feed's
Well, and the
bad
whole-
this year, or
there's areas that are having this drought now, the hope is that you're able to go to your grain farmer neighbor and salvage harvest some of the
Yeah.
crop, and I know there's crop insurance has been pretty good about being speedy with their adjusters, so that there is that opportunity. But unfortunate thing, by the time the crop is dried up, a lot of time it's not real good feed either.
Right. Yeah, and that's the thing. You can, maybe the insurance kicks in, but you still need the feed.
Yeah,
Right.
we still have to feed
We
them.
still have to pull something off the field so that we can get the feed
Yeah.
going. So, yeah, you raised some really important points there that I think, as consumers, it's important for us to understand that, because, a lot of us can relate to, we feed our dog or cat and here you go, and it's all bagged and ready to go, right? But there's so much to, on the livestock's, the nutrition and making sure that, they're big animals. They need some quality feed, that's for sure.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
we're always looking to make sure that they're well, that their nutrients are up and that they have everything that they need to grow and grow well.
Yeah. And so what is the future? What does it look like? Still working hard.
Yeah, you just kind of deal with one year after the next, and
Yeah.
hope is that we leave something for the next generation to build on, and continue to provide a affordable and nutritious meal for everyone else.
Yeah. Brilliant. Well, that's a great way to end our conversation. And we thank you again for having us, for opening your home and your farm and sharing your story, and for feeding Albertans with high quality, affordable food that we can be proud of. So as we get to know our farmers, we know that we're excited for the work that you guys are doing. So thanks again for having us.
You're welcome. It's been fun.